Hey everybody, we're keeping it a little bit on the quiet side right now. We got the baby here. We're playing Isaac. I'm playing in this like pitch black room with the glow from my monitor just searing my eyeballs. But that's okay, sweetie. That's okay. My eyes look like this, and just picture like pure bloodshot, so that her eyes can look like this, and then it's a picture of a baby's eyes, but they're closed because she's asleep right now. We've got 10 wins in a row. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's a little early. 6T11 GMP9. It's around 7:40 in the morning. We've been going through I don't know, I mean, I guess you would call it, by its like base definition, you would call it like a sleep regression, which is where your baby sleeps, you know, she gets into like a nice sleep pattern, and then like a couple of months later she's like, nah, Lord forgive me, but I'm about to go back to the old me. So yeah, she, you know, went to bed at like 11 and woke up at 2, and then she woke up at 6, and then she's kind of like, she's still asleep, kind of. I don't know, it's hard to tell because the lights are off, but she is looking at me like the unseen female love interest in the Counting Crows song, Mr. Jones. I don't think so, she's looking at me. Okay, sorry, it's honestly, like, I don't have a lot of love for a lot of songs from that era, even though I know them all, because you know they were on the school bus radio when we were on our way to the academic institutions. But of all the Counting Crows songs, which I believe there's 3, that's got to be the best, right? It's got a certain je ne sais quoi, a little jauntiness to it that I think we can all get behind. Why does this room scare me so much? Don't answer that. I know the answer. Just don't freak out. I've started to freak out a little. I started to freak out just a little bit, but that's okay. Like, what else do they have? They got round here, and then I've been bumming around this town. So this is probably not a good way to get the baby to stay asleep now that I think about it, so I'm just gonna stop. But, you know, a 3-hit wonder is no longer a wonder. That's just like a successful band. They're not as successful as like the Beatles, but like, I mean, if you want to get technical, even like a 1-hit wonder is pretty successful. I remember when, you know, Avril Lavigne, who was from, I don't know, like 15 minutes away from where I grew up, in Greater Napanee, when we first heard her song on the radio in 7th grade, we were like, oh my god. Even if she only has like this one song, how lucky are we? Okay, you know, I can live with this. How lucky are we to have the privilege of a 1-hit wonder coming from our town? Feels nice, right? Feels special. Feels like in some small way you were a part of it. I wasn't, really. But everybody in my... This is not a flex, like, you know... Avril Lavigne, don't know her as a person, don't really care for her music, although, you know, when I was in, like, 8th grade... It was, it hit a little bit different, for sure, but everybody has, like, a friend of a friend Avril story. Everybody's older brother dated Avril in high school, apparently. I'm not suggesting that, you know, she was imprudish. I'm just suggesting that most of those stories are probably made up. You meet, like, 10 kids who are like, you know, my older brother used to actually date Avril. Yeah. Crazy, right? I'm like, wow, that is crazy, because I'm trying to fit it into my my Google Calendar, and it looks like she was dating 40 classmates' older brothers simultaneously, which seems a little bit unlikely to me. Honestly, you get a lot more free time when you're that age, but still, I'm just surprised. She'd be a very busy young lady. Alright, we're gonna stick with Hermit. And then, I mean, this run is going pretty well so far. For one floor where we almost died, I can't really complain. I still cannot really complain. But yeah, I mean, a 1-hit wonder. Most bands out there would kill to be a 1-hit wonder. It is probably fair to say that bands out there that have like 2 to infinite hits, an indeterminate number of hits, they probably would kill not to be a one-hit wonder. Can you imagine Paul McCartney? Tears rolling down his face, pulling the trigger to make sure that I Wanna Hold Your Hand isn't the Beatles' only hit song. It's kind of a funny mental image as far as, you know, hypothetical murders go. I don't really know where I was going with this, but you know, one-hit wonder, I wouldn't rag on him. Let's put it that way. I think, like, there's a lot of great one-hit wonders. The one I always come back to is the New Radicals, where, like, You Get What You Give is such, like, a great song, and then just nothing else, for whatever reason, ever kind of hit. Most bands would kill to be a one-hit wonder. A two-hit wonder is more like a one-album wonder. I'm sure there are two-hit wonders. I'm trying to think of a good example. Like, she's not really a two-hit wonder. She's like a four-hit wonder, which, again, is just a successful recording artist in the whole scheme of things. But Nelly Furtado kind of had two separate periods of hitting. You know what I mean? I think we're okay with sack lunch. I mean, come on, the meat and potatoes of this one is beautiful. I don't think we want anything else, though. Sorry, I recognize you're probably like, why does NL sound like this? I'm trying to keep it a little light for the baby, you know? Trying to keep it a little chill for the baby. Like Nelly Furtado had, you know, like year 2000, 2001, I'm Like a Bird. Very popular song. I'm like a bird, only fly away. I don't know where my home is. You know, I'm trying not to get DMCA'd. That's the only reason I'm singing it badly on purpose as a joke. And she also had another song that maybe was only really famous in Canada. I was saying about you found me now, down, just turn off the light. You know, you may not be familiar with Turn Off the Light, but it was her second one. It was kind of big. In Canada, at least. Yeah, like, it was on Much Music. But I feel like Much Music was kind of trying to push the Nelly Furtado machine to some extent, you know? Like MTV and Madonna. I am gonna take that. We don't wanna regret not doing it later. And then she came back. You know, we thought Nelly Furtado, maybe not dead. Let's, you know, not get morose for no reason. But we maybe thought Nelly Furtado, you know, wasn't all that anymore. All that in a bag of potato chips. We moved on to other stuff. Hoobastank, for example. And then she came back in like 2005 or 2006 with Promiscuous. I know what you're thinking. NL? Why don't you re-roll the whole run? You know what? Lord forgive me, I'm about to go back to the old me. Still got 9 lives. Everything else is pretty bad. Just gonna be honest, but it's not, we didn't re-roll into anything that's like disastrous, right? And then wasn't there was an item back here, there's blue candle in the shop, right? If we could afford blue candle, which I don't think we can because we bought jumper cables, but we could do that. Okay, so it's actually completely fine. Look at that. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm kind of getting freaked out by the baby. Like, I can see in the darkness that her eyes are open. And she's just, like, looking at me. Which, don't get me wrong, is very nice. Like, it warms my soul. But at the same time, I'm like, you know, it's kind of unsettling, right? To just have a young infant, like, wordlessly staring at you. Hey, baby. I'm happy that you're happy. Oh, my God. The baby went nuts last night. And it's hard to not take offense. Because, and you might say that's immature, but... By the way, it might take us 10 years to get out of this floor. I don't really know... Oh, never mind. We're good. First, let me turn on the light here, because it seems like she's awake anyway. Okay, baby. Just avert your gaze. Oh, no. Oh, she's smiling. She's like, this is the best. Hanging out with Daddy at Daddy's office. Also known as the stinky room that I hang out in when Mommy's streaming. I think she's going back to sleep, but anyway. So she, lately, and this is part of the sleep regression, I think, we put her in her crib. She's chill. She's like, I'm having a great time. Can't wait to go to sleep. Thanks so much for all the food and diaper changes. It's a beautiful situation to be in, right? Then as soon as we put her in the crib, she's like, I hate this. The crib is made of lava. It's, when did you guys fill it with thorns, etc., etc. It's misery, apparently. So she starts to cry. Usually you kind of pick her up, console her a little bit. After maybe 10-15 minutes, she's good to go back. This time, I thought we were having like a bonding moment, so I picked her up, she got quiet, and then, you know, she's been grasping a lot lately. So she's grasping, and she's like feeling like her ears, and she's like tugging on her nose, and almost accidentally scratching her eyeball constantly and stuff like that. And you're like, oh, that's cute. She's like discovering the world. And then there's a very heartwarming moment. She reached out for my face, and she started like stroking my face and like grabbing my excuse for a beard right now. And I was like, whoa, she's like, you know, she's learning a little bit. She's like, that's my dad. And then she went from, you know, calm to absolute anger meltdown in like, I don't know, a second and a half at most. She went from like to like bright red tears just streaming down her face. And we don't know what's going on, right? We're like, what did maybe, because, you know, it sounds like she's in physical pain. So the first thing that my wife says to me is like, what did you do? And I'm like, I didn't do it, I was just holding her. And then, you know, you don't know if maybe she's got gas or something like that, because that can be very painful for a baby, or, you know, somehow maybe she like strained the muscle because she's doing a lot of stretching and stuff like that. You know, she's doing calisthenics constantly, or just teething or growing pains. You know, it's a lot of stuff, and the baby doesn't really have the words for it, obviously, unless she's suffering from agu poisoning. She doesn't really know how to get her message across, right? Anyway, so like I tried to console her. You rock her, you put her on your shoulder, you put her, you know, in the crib, and then kind of like, you know, do bicycle kicks with her legs and stuff like that. You know, like that old chestnut. You like grab the baby's feet and then you make it like they're riding a bicycle. It's in the baby books. I didn't invent this. This isn't a me original. I promise you that. Anyway, and then I was like, I don't know what she wants. Can I pass her to you for a second? And I passed her to my wife. She felt my wife's face and immediately like was serene. It was like, I know that the baby loves me. Don't get me wrong. She's looking at me right now, and she's like, "Oh, look at this." It's like daddy's gaze is like it's a beam of sunshine, right? But something about like the facial hair must have scared her. Maybe like it's coarse to the touch or something like that, and she's never really experienced that. Dude, I gotta tell you, I would love to take this. Let's at least try it out for a floor. Let's do a test drive and see where the mood strikes us here, right? But so I guess she just felt my face and she was like, I'm not used to this texture, and like when you know, as a baby, you're fragile, right? You got a pretty inconsistent emotional state. You're not really in control of your own faculties to a large extent, I suppose. It's a great item. She was unhappy, let's put it that way, but now she's good. The sleep regression, man. I mean, we're doing fine, don't get me wrong. I know it's only been like a week since I had that episode where I was like, hey, everybody owes me an apology because I said I'd be fine being tired, and I am. But like, you know, I'm like more tired now. Kind of, the universe to some extent brought some comeuppance there, but at the same time, still doing fine, you know? Just a lot sleepy even, but not, you know. It's just kind of a din of sedation. Wow, that's such a baby. That's a great phrase. Just a little din of sedation, you know? There's just kind of an ambient sort of haze over the world, and you're like, yeah, I'm tired. Every once in a while when you're driving, you know, you just catch a little. Okay, sorry. It's not the first time I made that joke. It's I didn't even invent the joke, and I, you know, like. I get that it's insensitive, right? But I'm just saying, like, it's also funny because people don't expect that the punchline is going to be that you fell asleep while you were driving, which it wouldn't matter because the Bugatti, it has full self-driving technology. It has the Dragon AI. I mean, you can get the Griffin, but it's only like another... oh, I didn't really look at the price when I got it at the Bugatti factory. But, you know, so I'm not gonna flex, but... I just get in the car and I say, computer, take me to the United Nations. And it goes, okay. Yes, Secretary General. Anything else? Yeah, could you darken the roast of my coffee? I asked for a dark roast and they gave me a medium roast? Sure. That's right. I got a... Apparently my car can also... After a coffee is brewed, it can darken the roast of the beans. Doesn't even make any sense, and that's why the joke is supposed to work, apparently. Anyway, what else is going on? I'm pretty stoked. Today is Wednesday, so, I mean, you're watching this on... I mean, there's a 1 in 7 chance you're watching this on Thursday to begin with, just, you know, at a base level. But the episode's coming out on Thursday, and this is when they get most of their views. So, you're probably watching this on Thursday. You're like, it's a small backlog. And you're like, yeah, man. You think I'm recording episodes at 7:40 a.m. on a Wednesday? just for sport? I might get there at one point in my life. It's crazy, like, you would think that, like, Eastern to West time zone is not, like, Eastern time to West, Pacific time, I should say, is not that big of a deal. I really realize now, like, because almost all of my, colleagues, well, not colleagues, not people who do the same job, but people who I'm friends with who do the same job, so I guess we just call those friends. But they're almost all Eastern time zone. I never realized until I started getting up early with the baby, like, how much of the day I missed just by living in the West Coast. Like, I'm now awake when, like, Dan and Malf and, you know, a lot of other streamers actually, like, go live at around, like, 9 a.m. Eastern time, which I gotta say is kind of early to begin with by streamer standards, but... You never realize, like, there were times, you know, where I would be in the West Coast, and I would actually wake up at, like, you know, 10 or 11 a.m. You're getting up at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Now, I resist the notion, by the way, I do wish I kept, maybe Tough Love on this one. But look at that, we're slightly smaller now, so who's complaining? Not me. I just think they're neat. It's Marge Simpson, by the way, in case you're uncultured. I know I'm making a lot of reference to a very hoity-toity video, The Din of Sedation. Marge Simpson, a little reference to The Simpsons. Not everybody's familiar with the show. There's got to be a couple of people out there. But I never really realized how much of their, you know, content I was missing. I already, like, don't watch that much of it anyway, just because I got my own stuff to make and I'm busy with the baby. But, like, you really get an appreciation. Like, sometimes I will wake up and I'd be like, you know, wake up at 11 and start my workday. People on the East Coast would be like, just heading home, long workday. And I'd be like, how long could it be, dude? I just woke up. I'm gonna be working when you're, like, you know, just going to sleep. It's crazy, but yeah, basically, I guess what I'm getting at is that you know, time zones are different. I am feeling the burn though, because I want to be there for, like, Dadcraft more often. Dadcraft is a little Minecraft server that it's growing very well right now. You know, it used to be Sips, Malf, Dan, and myself. It used to be just Sips and Dan, really. And then, like, very quickly, I got involved, then Malf got involved, and then, you know, Indie Mouse is on the server now. Mathis is on the server. Jay Wolves of My Door is going to be on the server. It's not really just for dads. I would never, like, want it to be gatekept like that. What it really should have been called, like Chillcraft or something like that, right? Because it's basically just, like, very low antagonism gaming, which is unusual for me. If you'll excuse me, I'd like to see this deal with the devil and get a nice damage upgrade before we continue this bit. Dude, honestly, like, you can be mad I don't take the nail if you want, but I know you're not actually gonna be mad because the nail is one of those items that's, like, mega boring most of the time. Hey, baby. But I think really I need the red heart, or not the red heart. Sorry, I need the red candle. But yeah, like, I'm not gonna say it's not fair, but, you know, Sips is, like, I think he's on GMT, So he... Usually, I don't think he streams in his mornings. He streams, like, his afternoons and evenings. Which happens to be, like, the Eastern time zone mornings. So all the ET lads get to coordinate on some dadcraft, and then I kind of squeeze it in, like, in my afternoon, and maybe Sips, you know, the goodness of his heart is building something cool, and also hops on the server despite it being, like, midnight his time, for which I'm very gracious, but... Yeah, baby, that's what I'm saying. That's why we gotta abolish this time zone malarkey. And just switch to the model where the entire country is on one time zone. I'm willing to meet in the middle. We don't have to make the whole world, or the whole, you know, North America PT. I think we could go with, like, Central. Don't get me wrong, there'd be problems. I mean, like... So Central would pull Eastern back, like, an hour, right? So, you know, if your kids are already going to school in the dark at, like, 8 a.m. local time, it's gonna be a lot worse when 8 is actually, like, 7. They're gonna think that they live in, like, Iceland. And then the flip side is gonna be that, like... You know, for me, living out here on the West Coast, I'm trying to run the math. I'm pretty sure that the sun won't go down until, like, midnight, right? So, you know, what I'm getting at is that, like, it's a pretty bad solution, but in many ways, that's better than the system that we have right now that makes it slightly more difficult to play Minecraft with people. I mean, like, not everything worth doing is easy. I'm gonna have to think about it. I should have thought about it before I wrote that letter to Joe Biden. I was very impassioned about it. I said, listen here, Corn Pop. You've been around the block a couple of times. I've been around the block a couple of times. Aren't you sick of this time zone malarkey? And I put it into a carrier pigeon's little quiver and sent him on his way. Dank Depths 1. I don't remember what you give me, so I'm going to skip you. I kind of desperately need damage. And I think that... I mean, we don't... It's not super urgent just because we have red candle. But don't let that confuse you. It's not that it's not going to be necessary. It's just, like, going to be slightly less immediately necessary. Like, the consequences of us not getting damage on this floor are relatively low. The consequences of us not trying to get more damage as soon as possible may be quite high indeed. So I'm just trying to figure out how we want to approach this, because there's lots of positives, there's lots of negatives here, right? We could buy the 3-cent Spirit Heart. I certainly, I think at this point would not mind. Now that I've taken a bunch more damage, but again, you might say, I mean, I look at damage. Damage is almost more of a function of your actual... I mean, that's not true to, like, the extent that someone, like, starts playing Isaac, but... this is a little dicey. Okay, you know what? I'm getting out of here to preserve our deal with the devil chance. In many ways, in Isaac, damage is actually more of a product of your own damage, if that makes sense. Like, the amount that you get hit is almost like a direct function. It's at least proportional to the speed at which you kill enemies. If you're not able to kill enemies quickly, you're gonna take more damage, and I think that's what's happening here. Hello, baby. She's just been... It's weird, man. She's been staring at me this whole time. What is it? You know, you're kind of... You know, if an adult did this, you'd be like, you're freaking me out. You're a baby, so, like, I don't know. I don't know what I expect you to do. Just, like, look at your phone for a bit? I can't blame you. If I only had an iPhone 4, I wouldn't spend that much time looking at it either. We didn't give our baby an iPhone 4. Just chill out, okay? She can't even, like, I mean, like, if we give her, like, something and wrap her hand around it, she'll grasp it pretty nicely, but every once in a while, she just eats it across the room, too. So, like, don't get bent out of shape. We didn't give our baby an iPhone, okay? We gave her a Pixel. The iPhone is a quality piece of technology. You can't have her just, you know, being reckless with that. We wouldn't give our baby an iPhone. Sure, maybe, like, a Nexus? An iPhone? Are you crazy? Those things are worth a lot of money. This baby, that's a little something we call, as the old Reddit switcheroo. Probably one of the most important... you know how in cooking there's, like, mother sauces? You may not, by the way, but, like, I went through, like, a culinary phase in university where I... You know, at first it starts with, like, you know, I want to eat fish and chips, but I don't want to pay restaurant prices. And then, like, 6 months later, you're buying, like, the joy of cooking. And, dude, we're one away from Spun. We're one away from Guppy. It's a beautiful thing, baby. But you bought the joy of cooking, and you're going through, like, you know, video master classes and America's Test Kitchen recipes and stuff like that. So the mother sauces are essentially 5 fundamental cooking sauces from which most other... I can't say that all others are derived from it, because I don't... It's not as scientific as, like, the periodic table. It's not like, you know, a marinara sauce is, like, indivisible in the smallest unit of sauce possible. Like, I don't think buffalo sauce starts as, like, a bechamel, for example, but yeah, there's, you know, a mother sauce is, like, one of the 5 basic sauces in European cuisine. So there's, like, tomato sauce, and tomato sauce, of course, can become, like, marinara and you know, various other red sauces. You know, like a vodka sauce, or... I mean, you get the idea. They're all variants on a similar thing, right? And then there's, like, a bechamel. I think a bechamel is the base level, and then it can become, like, a supreme sauce, or anyway. I'm just trying to demonstrate that I at least at one point had a base level of knowledge. This is not just, like, from reading the Wikipedia stub. And one time I actually did, and, you know, again, I probably should have been spending more time concerning myself with my studies. But I did, like... cook a bechamel, and the bechamel I made, you have to use chicken stock, if I remember correctly, at least. This is like 11 years ago. But in order to get the chicken stock, I'm like, well, if I'm gonna go through all the trouble of making my own bechamel, I'm not gonna use, like, canned or, you know, packaged cooking sauce or chicken stock. So I, you know, high roasted my own chicken, which is when you, like, basically you cook it extremely hot in a conventional oven. But before you do it, you usually, like, butterfly it, which means you cut out the backbone, and then you lay it flat, and you know, insert some, like, herb butter under the skin. It's crazy, right? Like, you're not gonna believe that I went through it, but I did it. So then once you get that, you get the chicken carcass. You boil the carcass and you skim off the fat for as many hours as you can to clarify it. You put it in the freezer, and then you scrape off the fat again so that you have, like, a pretty clear chicken stock. And then you use the chicken stock and you reduce the crap out of, like, that and some heavy cream in order to make the bechamel. And then I remember, like, I made a meal with it, and I was like, I think it was where, like, my love of cooking died. I was like, this is good, but it's not that good. This meal is, like... If you factor in, like, the time investment on this meal, it's like... It took me, like, 35 hours or something like that. And don't get me wrong, like, the food's good, baby. But, and again, like... I guess what I'm saying is, like, that's why sometimes I'm not if I go to, like, a fancy restaurant, I'm not like, oh, what the heck, 35 bucks. I'm like, you know what? That actually seems like a fairly good premium to pay to not have to do that stuff myself and, you know, still get to have a delicious duck breast with a, you know, reduced mushroom supreme sauce on it or something like that. But anyway, I forget. Oh, I was gonna make a joke about comedy, and then went on an extended bit about where I was as unfunny as possible as a joke. But yeah, and well, I mean, it was a satirical bit in the first place, just to be clear. But you know, there are some, like, base level jokes. You know, there's some jokes that other jokes build off. The old Reddit switcheroo, double entendres with the included subcategory of "that's what she says," fallen out of favor. Deservedly so, but, you know, what's old is new again eventually. One-liners, sound-alikes, etc., etc. Dude, I know you're like, why is this guy taking so much damage? I'm taking so much damage because my damage stat is 3.41 on the depths 2. We're almost a half hour into the run, and we're, you know, we're struggling here. We're one item away from becoming Guppy, but still. I think there, you could come up with 5, like, base level jokes for sure. Jokes about animals. That's a good one. I do want that. And I think then I want this. We just gotta try to survive. Jokes where any combination of people walk into a bar. Jokes that are pretending like they're true stories, but clearly aren't, and have never happened to anybody ever. There's a lot of, you know what, maybe I'll just, I'll stop talking about it, I'll write a book on it instead. I got a lot of free time right now. I think that, and also this seems like an idea that's got legs, you know what I mean? It's got like some marketability to it. Said nobody ever. Okay, I would say we're on threat level orange here. If we don't get a good deal with the devil, life will proceed. But it kind of sucks. Oh, yo, I didn't even notice this double tinted rock, baby. Look at that. Look at that. A bunch of money we can't even use. How about that, baby? She's trying to fall asleep. Like, why don't you just close your eyes, you know? Babies don't really get it. Like, I was talking about it on stream the other day, but there's this, like, TikTok that went viral, and like, everybody knows that the person in the TikTok is a dummy, okay? Like, it's not... I'm not the only person who realizes that they're dumb. In fact, I think the reason... And I know this is rude to say, but... Like, and I don't know, they might be a smart person. Maybe they're so smart, they're making, like, a self-aware joke. But, you know, like, they're so good at comedy that nobody else realizes it's a joke, so then they are insulting the intelligence of the person who made the joke. It's been known to happen. I oftentimes think that's where most of the abuse hurled against me comes from, is just a place of misunderstanding. But she posted a video on TikTok, and I didn't see it on TikTok. I saw it on Twitter, which makes me a scholar instead of a fool. And she said, like, I don't have a crib for my baby because, you know, can you imagine, like, a crib is basically like a baby jail. Can you imagine if, like, your partner... Whenever you know, they just got sick of you, they picked you up and put you in a jail that you couldn't escape from and then walked away and you were forced to go to sleep even if you weren't tired? First off, so now I'm like deliberately being kind of misrepresentative. I'd be mad, but honestly, sometimes I do think that it would be good for me. If my wife was like, hey, put your phone down, I'm sending you to sleep jail. I think I wouldn't say I'd be okay with it because, you know, I do value my autonomy, but, you know, sometimes I don't know what's best for me. But then secondly, it's a baby. You know, like, a baby doesn't know what's going on. Baby doesn't have it doesn't understand that, like, the feeling of tiredness is necessarily associated with the feeling of sleep, and then when the baby yawns, that's an indication that they would like to go to sleep. Like, it's all just, they're figuring it all out, right? They kind of rely on the parent to set up, you know, like a scaffolding. Oh, we'll definitely take it. It's a little dangerous, but they rely on the parent to set up a scaffolding and routines and stuff like that that kind of, I don't want to say that they fill the need that, like, you know, that those adult behaviors do, if that makes sense. Like, you know, because the baby doesn't know that it's good to have a good sleep routine, the adult has to be like, now we're gonna try to go to sleep, you know? You know, I think... Where did we go wrong as a society? That we're like, you know what? Cribs are the problem. I don't know, maybe, like... Cribs are, like, one of the only things, I would say, from, like, the Victorian era when it comes to child rearing that are, like, still in vogue. To me, maybe this is not how you would rigorously analyze something's merit, but I'm kind of like, hey, they must be doing something right, man. People have been using cribs since, you know, probably, like, the 1000s or something like that, maybe even earlier, I don't know. It's very helpful to have a place where you can just kind of put the baby, and then, you know, when you come back, the baby's still there. We're not using those, you ever see those pictures of the cages that they would have, like, in Manhattan apartments and stuff like that? Where you'd live in, like, the 35th floor, and you'd have, like, a little cage that attaches to your window, and then your baby would just chill in the cage? That stuff is insane. If she was like, I don't have one of those, I'd be like, yeah, good. You know, that seems to make a whole lot of sense, but I guess the TikTok probably never would have gone viral. Now, there's a question. Is it better to have gone viral ironically or never gone viral at all? I'll give you an answer there. Never gone viral at all, baby. I promise you. But, like, it's just... Look, I live a pretty charmed life, okay? I'm not beset on all sides by, you know... I mean, like, let's put it this way. Like, I have the privilege of you know, living a fairly comfortable life to the extent that the things that bother me on any given day are like, I'm a little tired because of the baby, and then secondarily, somebody on the subreddit posted like an essay about like that I wasn't playing Spelunky 2 right or something like that. Those are, you know, I'm not gonna say they don't cause some problems, but they're not like, I mean, I'll be dismissive to myself. To some extent, they're not real problems. You know, they're not unavoidable. I mean, the sleep is kind of unavoidable, but like, you know, just stop reading the subreddit, dummy. Or at least, like, when you're... Don't read it as much, you know? But even still, I find myself, when I look at that, I'm like, man, this lady... this is so rude, I'm sorry. But, like, I'm like, her life's not hard enough. If you got the mental space, if you got the real estate in your life to concern yourself with whether... having your baby go to sleep is considered like a human rights issue, I think, like, honestly, you need a little bit more stress. Too much stress is a killer, but I think that too little stress in its own way could be a killer by being like, you know, making you stressed out about issues that are really just kind of solved at this point. Now, you know, I think, knowing the internet, most people will agree with me on that. Some people will beg the question, oh, so we should never try to reevaluate anything ever? No, obviously that is what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that this is the best of all possible worlds, and, you know, any attempt to better planet Earth is futile. If that's what you got out of it, then you're smarter than I am, let's put it that way. In some ways, at least. And, you know, I'm not trying to cause a kerfuffle, I'm just saying that, cribs? Come on. Hold on. I'm just trying to think here. Because, like, these rooms are going to be pretty nasty. You might say, NL, I bet you wish you took the nail now. I really don't. I'm still pretty happy with where I'm at. I just was... I mean, yeah, I was hoping at some point we would get, like... You know, maybe like a single damage upgrade from, you know, the D1 onward, but, or the one dice room onward, but clearly that's not the way it went down. It's a lot of fun. Luckily, on the bright side, we did get like the belly button. That's a pretty good item. We got lots of very useful stuff. I'm actually pretty stoked to have Ares, because Ares plus Sack Dagger is it's a potent combination. But I would prepare yourself. That's the kind of situation that'll make you very upset on a run like this. That'll make you a little upset. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that one. And we're not even getting Ares on this room. But what I was gonna say is we're gonna lose some lives. It's just gonna happen. We're at 8. We're one item away from becoming Guppy. I would say at this point it's looking less and less. I'm gonna get hit. I did not get hit. I got hit. I knew it was coming too. I was just trying to like position myself in such a way. Okay, good hit. I was trying to position myself in such a way that you know, we'd be able to hit the enemy that was approaching us with the knife. Alright. Probably a good time to get a little thinking. Kind of wishing I took the nail now, I'll admit. And I gotta, you know, this run, you're gonna think that I've lost my mind or I'm living in a world of delusion or something, but I really do still predict a win here. And I'm not, the same way that I'm not, like, boundlessly negative, I'm not, like, aggressively optimistic. Like, I feel like I tend to take a fairly balanced approach in you know, unrealistic positivity and unrealistic negativity in Isaac. I'm gonna grab this. I know, and people are gonna be like, for the love of God, take lard. Lard is like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, it's like, you know, you got a university exam coming up, so you're like, let me just take Adderall one time. You know, I'm being 100% sincere. I've got no familiarity with it, but from what I've heard, you know, you're like, wow, it's incredible. I got an unbelievable ability to focus. But then you kind of, you know, you've traded one short-term problem for a long-term problem, if that makes sense, you know? I would probably survive the mom's heart fight, but I would ruin our speed forever. I mean, this is really good too, but we would ruin our speed forever, which is actually a good trade if it means that we live. Just obviously, right? Like, it's just by definition of the way that it's structured. But I would prefer to not have to. But there, I mean, I'm starting to evaluate the idea that it might actually just be the right call. The more we can stay on, like, the one side of this arena and not have to deal with the other, not have to deal with this spider clutch coming in here. Okay, we're fine, we're fine. Not even scared for a second. If possible, I would prefer to not take lard. Because, like, we would have been hit at least 2 times by that laser beam already. Wow, we made it. Didn't beat the 1 in 8 odds for the deal with the devil, but we still made it. Well, you know, proud to say the baby has fallen asleep. So, still got it. There's my new strategy. If the baby won't fall... Oh, she opened her eyes. If the baby won't fall asleep at night, we can get 2 birds stoned at once. I'll just record an Isaac episode at like 11. So, again, we will probably lose some lives here. We really want to check out this curse room. Oh, okay, well, we can't do it that way. And I was just going to say, probably not that way either. At this point, we are kind of beholden to the items on the chest. And in all likelihood, we're only going to get, like, the 4 that we get. So one of the most valuable things we can get right now, and in Isaac, like, there's kind of, I wouldn't say infinite, but, you know, there's a lot of ways to win a run. We don't have to get damage if we get Unicorn Stump. We don't have to get damage, probably, if we get, like, 1 Spirit Heart and an Emperor card. Like, there's a lot of different outs here. You know, to put it in poker terms, which is pretty dangerous because I'm not really much of a poker player. To put it in poker terms, like, there's a lot of trump cards left that would let us win this trick. However, there's also a lot of nut shot straights, or straight shots to the nuts, maybe, is what I meant, that could really leave us, you know, being down a big blind without even seeing the flop. Still going. Ooh, the tinted rock. Okay. A little bit of go juice. There we go. I'll take the bombs. We could use the bombs. This is pivoted. Like, we're very much talking Isaac now. This has been a very long episode. I've stopped budgeting like 45 minutes for Isaac. I mean, I have the same amount of time to record Isaac because I make sure that I have it. But I've stopped budgeting like 45 minutes for Isaac episodes. In my head, I start thinking of them as like basically like a half hour now. So when I started this video, I was like, I'm pretty like sleepy, but you know, I'll just record an Isaac episode and then half an hour later, I'll go get a cup of coffee. You want to make God laugh, baby? Tell him your plans. That's my first piece of advice you need on this cold blue rock. Want to make God laugh? Tell him your plans. Man, I never even, like, finished my train of thought, did I? I'm stoked that today's, Wednesday. Because Hitman 2's coming out, dude. That was like 35 minutes ago I was starting to talk about that. You got no ability to fly. I don't like that. I don't like that. Instead of sending a real smile, we just give an emoji. It's 2 different sketches. No, I knew, dude, it's... Sorry, baby. Oh, no. When I said no, I believe she woke up. Oh, baby, I'm sorry. Daddy's not really in distress. It's kind of like... I mean, like, it's somewhat distressing, but it's more like a feigned distress. It's kind of like a feigned distress for YouTube. YouTube is like... It's a video platform. You don't understand it yet, but you're probably gonna fall in love with it when you're like a couple years older. You're gonna be watching like Baby Shark do constantly, and it's gonna be like a whole thing. I don't even think it matters like what I'm saying right now. I think as long as I just say it in this kind of like hushed tone, she's gonna find it very comforting. Baby, I know like 2020 was actually the 2nd warmest year on historical record. Like 2016 was a little bit warmer, but 2020 was really warm, and it's very concerning in, you know, the global rate of carbon emissions. CO2 specifically, of course, is, I mean, it's continued. She's out like a light. She doesn't even know. She doesn't even know, dude. Did nobody show this video to the lady who thought it's child abuse to put your baby in a crib? I don't know if it's child abuse to put your baby in a crib. I don't know how she's gonna feel about trying to explain the environmental conditions that they're gonna reach middle age in. Anyway, don't worry, baby. They're gonna figure it out. Elon's gonna figure it out, baby. Don't worry about it. Probably, or whatever. I don't know. You're gonna be fine. Now, a lot of other people are probably gonna suffer greatly, but okay, hold on. Top left. We're still, I mean, many people probably thought I was losing my mind, baby, when I said that this run still looked like a win, but look at it now. It has a chance. Decent. Decent. Extraordinarily both amazing and extremely relevant to our current situation, and I would say our odds of getting a win just kind of skyrocketed. Now we should still not, and this is how you know I'm taking it seriously. Should still not just use Holy Mantle willy-nilly. But if you can wait to use Holy Mantle until you're almost at your full Ares charge, you're probably gonna be okay. Dude, I'm telling, like a single speed upgrade, oh, it would really hit the spot right now. It's kind of a cool Isaac run, but we made it happen. I'm not gonna say like, oh, we're the only person on Earth who could have won this run. I think there's probably a few. This really is kind of like, I mean, 3.41 damage on the chest, pretty low. You know, you kind of can't plan for stuff like that. The idea that, you know, you're gonna start with like 4.72 damage or whatever you start with as Judas. Listen to me, sounding like a regular old nerd here. 4.72, repeating, of course. Okay, that could have gone very, very badly. But it didn't. So let's not worry about that. But to go from Judas's base level damage to like an early dice room reroll and then have it never manifest in any real damage upgrades ever is kind of insane. Very rarely do you finish a run where you're actually below the damage you started with, but you know, there's a first time for everything, and then, you know, there's probably like a 50th time for everything as well, which is what we're dealing with more like right here. And you know what? I'm still thankful we took the red candle. Possible that the nail would have been better, because it almost always is. I picked a bad day to be like, no, I've got principles today. I don't want to just play a boring run. Because you always want the credit for taking kind of a risky approach, but you don't want to actually deal with the risk, right? I just wanted people to be like, wow, he's zany again, and then I get like Tech X and the run's easily a win. Instead, you know, it's kind of got pretty complicated at times here. Okay. Almost at Ares, haven't even used Holy Mantle, Sack Dagger, best item 2021. We've done it. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. I will see you next time. See ya!